I'd better hurry up and start. I've been playing with these candles back here, putting new candles in this morning, and trying to make sure that the flames were visible, which one of them wasn't visible just a couple minutes ago. And so I've been playing with putting coals in there and trying to get it visible. Anyway, good morning. Oh, today's title is 2012 Outpouring of Love. And the blurb goes like this. What happened to me on Sunday was not an isolated incident. Police brutality goes on every day with thousands of men and women being grossly mistreated in a system that is corrupt at its core. Most are not as fortunate as I am. Most do not get an outpouring of love from around the world to help heal their wounds. Most do not receive the overwhelming support I am getting. I am asking each of you that hears me to please let your love reach out and touch the unseen and unsung examples of crimes against humanity that continue to darken our planet. Together we can and will make a difference. And while I have it fresh in my mind, the opening of John Smallman's blog today is the title is Love Will Be the Guiding Power and Authority, and I'll read the first few sentences. When changes of such magnitude and significance as are starting to occur all across the world become known and made public, it is to be expected that a certain amount of confusion and anxiety will arise. Do not be concerned, but continue to hold your light on high as you offer solace and compassion to those who are anxious or unnerved by what they see happening. Help them to understand the significance of what is occurring and explain that clarity of purpose and intent in all relationships, personal, governmental, international, as well as peace, harmony, and abundance, are to replace dishonesty, conflict, and scarcity that have plagued you for so long. As I sat in the jail cell on Sunday afternoon, I became very aware that I was just a small example, a small insignificant example of how the system treats people all around the world. How the beast lifts its head and roars, especially now in these times of significant change and global awakening. The powers that have been are pulling out all stops to go against those of us that are raising our voices and trying to spread love and trying to spread truth around the world. And we may or may not have seen the end of it, but the end is coming. The end of this brutality. And I also feel, and I felt, even on Sunday and in the days that have ensued, I have felt a compassion even for the police, because they have been misguided. They have been misinformed. You know, they believe the system has value and that the truth is on their side. I mean, I think some of them believe that. They, as my friend Mike said, they don't have the same conviction as those of us that have the flame of freedom burning in our hearts, because they have become complacent and satisfied in their power game, because they, from their perspective, are on the winning side of that game. But ultimately, it's the losing side. Ultimately, the same laws that they've used to inflict wounds on humanity are going to be used lawfully against them. And many of these, especially those that call the shots, especially those that are in the high positions, are going to be required to pay recompense for the deeds that they have committed, because the karma must be satisfied. And there's one individual, especially from England, who has been championing, if you will, or at least attempting to champion the whole scenario of the purpose, the good in our systems, that all of our systems of law are just what they're supposed to be, and they're good, and if you break the law, you deserve to get punished. And it doesn't matter. You've got to kowtow to the system. Anyway, wherever he's coming from, he's way off, and most of my other friends are telling him where he's wrong, and he continues to try to use my videos as his pulpit, and that's okay. I mean, he's not attacking me. He's just attacking the free man and the sovereignty movement, and thinks that they need to be punished. I don't know what his position is on this as far as what kind of work he does and how he earns his living, but he's way off base from my perspective and most of my friends. In any case, everybody's a victim here, even the victimizers. And I want you to see that. I want you to understand that what is happening in 2012 and was starting to happen really at the beginning of the year last year, when the first things began to break out in Egypt in January of 2011, the first mass demonstrations and the revolutions, if you will, began in January 2011, when the extremists bombed the Coptic Christian church on Christmas Eve. And then on New Year's Eve, the Muslims actually stood and defended the Christians. I want you to remember that, because it's not about Muslims against Christians. It's not about any factions against any other factions. It's about the people waking up and realizing that we have been had by the banksters that have thought that they could be in charge of the whole world, and they've bought our governments and paid for them. They've bought our corporations. They've bought the system. They own the system. And it's with evil intent on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's been part of the awakening process. The best laid plans of the devil or Satan, or whatever you want to call the evil one, the best laid plans are merely the plan of a higher purpose, a higher good, and that good is love. That good is radical change, of reverting back from concepts of dishonesty and conflict and scarcity, as John Smallman said in his blog, to something that is totally different, where all of us become empowered and enriched. And we realize there is no scarcity, that the outpouring of love that we're able to share with one another transforms the society at its very root. And I see that happening. I'm so grateful that I was blessed to not be more mistreated. And by the way, I can raise my hand. I actually combed my hair today. That's how rapidly my arm healed, because of all the Reiki and energy healing that people sent me, all the violet flame and everything else that's been applied to the wounds. My spine is still sore. My arm is not 100%. It's probably 90% back to normal. But it's still got a little bit of discomfort there, but nothing like it has been. And my lower spine is still sore to the touch. And that may take a little bit longer. I haven't actually focused as much energy there on myself as I have on the arm, because the arm was what was more noticeable to me, because I'm right-handed and I use my right hand. But I'm saying that the healing for me is rapid, and I didn't have to suffer a great deal. It was more humiliation than anything else. Yeah, there was some physical pain involved, but the humiliation of being arrested in front of all of my neighbors, as if I was, and I've not talked to most of my neighbors. They have no idea, except for the immediate next door neighbors, even what the whole thing was about. I haven't talked to any of the other ones yet. I've been too busy preparing paperwork in response, and I filed 2 different reports yesterday, one with the bankruptcy court and one with the court involved in this matter of the arrest, in which I took back my signature, because they consider when you sign something a contract. Okay, and when you sign a contract and you're under threat and duress, anything signed under duress is an invalid contract. And I just served them notice yesterday that I cancel all contracts that were signed on Sunday because all of them were under duress and therefore invalid, null, and void. It's really important to do that. In America, you have 72 hours, business hours, 72, 3 days basically, 3 business days to cancel any contract that may have been inadvertently entered into. And any contract that I did on Sunday is invalid. And I notified the court of that. And that's just the first step. There will be other steps. Some people have written and said, Ron, you're going to become very rich over this. And there are lawful remedies that will enable that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The one that was the least is now the most. I'm going to actually blow that out. I put too much charcoal in it to try to get it to flame up more, and I got it to flame up too much more. Sometimes it's too much and I'm too impatient. But I'm trying to show you that what you saw with me is just the tip of the iceberg. So much goes on, so much abuse goes on in the system. And the abuse touches everyone, even if you don't see it. The worst thing that happens in our world is that when good people see things like this and think it doesn't matter, it doesn't touch them, so the heck with it, or they blame the person who appears to be victimized. I mean, this is really, really sick, because they don't see the sickness of the structure of the matrix itself. They don't see that. And I'm wanting, if I can do anything in this world, it is to turn on the lights and to make people aware of just how cruel and corrupt the matrix is. Just how cruel and corrupt the financial and economic system and the governments and the corporations are. It's total corruption, it's total fraud. There's nothing good in it other than the fact that it's waking people up. And how long will it take to bring the changes about? How long will this take? Well, we can accelerate it if those of you that have not been involved get involved. Even if it's becoming aware and recognizing that you have a role to play. And it's not to sit back and ignore it. Ignorance is the problem. And when you're ignoring the problem, you're helping the problem, not healing it. You're helping to keep it going and make it worse, in fact. It's not about denial. It's not about turning the other way, turning your head, turning your back on it. It's about recognizing that's part of me. That touches me. That touches my soul. That touches my spirit, my body. It touches my existence. It touches me. I am not immune. I am not, indifference is not something that I can any longer tolerate in myself. And you need to have an outpouring of forgiveness for yourself for having that apathy and that attitude of uncaring. You need to forgive yourself, but you need to get on with the rest of us to awaken everyone till the whole earth is filled with light, till the whole earth radiates with the love of God shed abroad in each of our hearts and manifesting through each of our lives, till we touch the wounded and heal them. Both the wounded that are the victimizers and the wounded that are the victims. These are just roles. Everybody plays one role or the other at some time in our soul's journey. And we need to touch these wounds, and we need to heal ourselves, and we need to help each other become more and more awake and more aware and more enlightened as to the truth that we are each able to respond, which is responsibility. We are each able to respond with an outpouring of love, with an outpouring of healing energy, with an outpouring of compassion, with an outpouring of kindness, with an outpouring of truth. Yes, sometimes we have to play the role of demanding justice and redressing grievances. We need to do that. That's one of our rights, is to redress grievances. And we need to do that especially with governments, especially with corporations. We need to hold these people accountable because that's the only way they get it. And so we need to do that by the system of law that's in place and use whatever laws are necessary to bring to pass real justice on our planet, and we can do it. So once again, as I close, I want to thank each of you for your outpouring of loving support to me. And I trust that I'm able to continue to send that out, and I ask you to help me send that out to all the dark places in the world where people are sexually abused and people are mistreated in many ways, and in some cases they've even have their lives snuffed out by the authorities, unjustly so. And we need to bring that to our conscious awareness so that we can heal it. We cannot keep turning away and turning our backs. Let the outpouring of love continue. I beseech you with all of my heart. Let it continue, and let's heal this planet. Let's heal this world. Let's change the system completely and bring accountability and responsibility back where it belongs, so that those that are public servants indeed serve the public for the highest good, not for greedy and selfish purposes. I leave you with these thoughts, and once again I just express the gratitude of my heart and my thanksgiving for all of you that have shown me love and shown me support at this time. Namaste. Thank you.